The fourth session of the Permanent Forum on People of African Descent is taking place at the UN headquarters in New York. The forum is a mechanism for improving the life and livelihoods of people of African descent. This year, Ambassador Martin Kimani of Kenya assumes the role of chair of the forum. We are honored today to have Ambassador Kimani in the US studio at the UN headquarters in New York. He will share insights into what lies ahead under his leadership. My name is Kingsley Igobo, reporting for UN Africa Renewal publication. Ambassador Kimani, welcome back to the United Nations.
Thank you so much, Kingsley.
So let's start with this. As the new chair of this forum, what are your top priorities for your tenure?
Well, I'm taking over from an amazing diplomat called June Soomer, and she has served with such distinction in the last year. And so one of my most immediate priorities is to try and match her levels of energy in terms of engaging with different activist groups, governments, and trying to take their agenda forward. So I have to be a great listener this year. I have to engage with our stakeholders in Africa, in the Caribbean, here in the United States, and everywhere where there are large populations of people of African descent. And finally, a big priority of mine will be how to connect Africa more closely to its diaspora. And this will be building on really work that I've done, I think, throughout my career. But this is a different forum, and trying to find the deeper, practical acts of solidarity between Africans and people of African descent is going to be at the very top of my agenda.
Okay. Reparatory justice is the AU theme for 2025. And this is also one of the ticket items that you have. So how are you going to do this?
Well, you're right. The African Union has this as its theme for the year. And this reflects a newfound analysis and understanding that taking stock of the past and trying to repair the past so as to have a better launching pad into the future that we want is critical. And so the African Union is engaging on this conversation and is finding other parts of the African world quite advanced in their conversation and their understanding of reparatory justice, especially the Caribbean and CARICOM, and even here in the United States.
Okay, broadly speaking, how do you get Africans in Africa and African diaspora to work towards collective aspirations?
Well, this has always been the challenge, but without going into it at great length, to be African and to identify as African is an act of uniting and of solidarity. The paths to being African are so different. The paths that I've traveled to that word African, from Nairobi to that idea of myself as African, the paths a Nigerian or Jamaican or an American travel to that word, is really a word built on solidarity and common purpose. That was a solidarity and common purpose that forged decolonization and anti-colonialism. It won us independence in Africa. It was the collaboration that built momentum towards civil rights in the United States and other parts of the West. And it was a solidarity and collaboration that brought down the apartheid regime. So we're building on a storied history of coming together to pursue great causes. And I think the forum is a reflection of that century-old collaboration.
So you have been permanent representative of Kenya to the United Nations headquarters here in New York. Before then, you were permanent representative of your country to UN Habitat, UN Environment Program. So you have a lot of experience working with international organizations. So how do you strengthen relationship between the forum and these international organizations to address economic justice, particularly the rising debt that Africa is bedeviling the continent?
Well, the Permanent Forum is an outgrowth of the Durban Conference. And it is a forum that a lot of people have worked very hard to bring together. And now that it's been formed over the last 3 years, its mandate is to listen to people of African descent and understand their condition, and then advise the Human Rights Council and the General Assembly on the steps that are to be taken. So our mandate is really to advise and engage UN institutions, and we're doing just that. Just this last month, the Permanent Forum presented a paper on Haiti to the Human Rights Council and to the General Assembly, and it has also been sent to the different committees ranging from ECOSOC to the Security Council. And it's an attempt to bridge Haiti's history to its present very difficult circumstances. And so we take it that our main job is to ensure that the United Nations and its organs, agencies, and programs function to recognize the plight, the challenges, and also the opportunities of people of African descent, and to use their various instruments reflecting the values of the United Nations to make sure that this precious population of people is never left behind.
Your deep understanding of the inner workings of this system definitely helps you in doing your job.
Well, Kingsley, I cannot boast of having a deep understanding. Anyone who boasts of a deep understanding of the United Nations usually is proven wrong. But I do have my friends here. I do have a string of responsibilities that I've had that better position me to be able to promote the work that we do as a forum.
So what measures would you propose can be adopted by governments to address systemic racism? And how do you ensure that these measures are implemented at national levels?
Well, I think there's been study after study. There's so much research that has gone into the long-term effects of the enslavement of African people and colonialism. And these effects range from the structures of the economy to the way the environment is affected and to the psychosocial aspects of community living. And so the United Nations, in its pursuit of its mandate, which is peace and security, and also to make the conditions of life better, in other words, development, is committed to helping the most vulnerable. So the best thing that we could have is a disaggregated understanding of the conditions of people of African descent, and then the various bodies in pursuing their mandates to ensure that they reach out, find where the people of African descent are in the condition that they're in, and use their mandate to undertake uplift, support, and collaboration with them.
Okay, economic disparities are one of the challenges facing people of African descent. Do you have initiatives that you can propose that can be adopted by countries to address these issues?
Now, in the 3 sessions we've had, the Permanent Forum has sessions that it holds in Geneva and in New York in alternating ways. And in all of them, thousands of activists, researchers, and scholars have come to present their ideas. And they have been very solid, very compelling ideas about some of the measures that can be taken to improve the economic lot of people of African descent. So our job as a forum is to listen, find those proposals, and find a way to channel them to the institutions that are supposed to be undertaking this work.
So how challenging is digital inequity as it currently stands, and what can be done about it?
Now, at this upcoming forum on April 14th to the 17th here in New York, there's going to be a panel on artificial intelligence and digital justice. And I think this matter will be taken up robustly. One, to understand in this new age of large language models, what have they been trained on? Because essentially they function on the basis of data sets that they've been trained on. So if they've been trained on data sets that are exclusionary or that perhaps have an understanding of people of African descent that is incorrect or sometimes even racist, the question then is how will the LLM work. And so building on the resolutions that have been passed here, the American resolution, the Chinese resolution, and some of the agreements in the summit of for the Pact for the Future, I hope that this summit, this session that we're about to have, will bring forth ideas about how the companies that are building LLMs and the regulatory agencies that are regulating the building of artificial intelligence will take the steps necessary to ensure that people of African descent are not left out, that their lives, their civilizations, their ways of expressing themselves culturally are not misunderstood and distorted in the act of developing artificial intelligence.
Okay, so what legacy would you like to leave behind when your tenure is over?
Well, I know enough about geopolitics to understand that a good legacy today can become a bad legacy tomorrow. And so I think I just hope to do the right thing, which is to listen with a keen ear, and especially to listen not to the loudest or necessarily the most powerful, but those who I think are more silenced, who don't have much of a chance to represent their views. But when they do come to this session, I hope to be listening to them with a critical ear and ensuring that their voice and what they want done is reflected in the outcomes of the session.